guys! Sorry it's been a while. I wanted to do this video because I did an original video on my thoughts of 13 Reasons Why, link in the description, blah blah blah, and I was considering doing another one when I heard that a season 2 was coming because I had more knowledge about the situation and I thought I could give a more up-to-date view of the situation. Why didn't you film this sooner? Because mental illness. So I wasn't sure if I would upload this because a lot of time had passed since season 2 started and I thought it might be old news, and I thought maybe I would just leave it. And then I heard that it had been renewed for a 3rd season and I was like, what the fuck? So I decided to make my feelings known. So if you watched the original one, you would see that I had some feelings about a consent issue, or something that I feel is a consent issue that came up at the end of season 1. Another thing I have issues with was Jensen's tape. It was really hyped up all the way through, like, what's Jensen's tape gonna be? And some people like implied that he'd done something really bad.
Knowing what you know, believing what you believe, knowing me, knowing her, and what's on these tapes. Did I kill Hannah Baker? Yeah.
And when it came down to it, all it was that he understood the word no, listened to someone's feelings and did what they told him to do.
I just left Hannah. I just left her there, and she needed me, and I walked away. You were doing what she told you to do. No, I ran.
And that was one thing. That was something that really bothered me when I made the first video, that the point of 13 Reasons Why is that consent is important, and sexual assault, sexual harassment, rape, etc. are things that affect people really badly, can make them suicidal, blah blah blah. And then the message they were teaching at the end seems to be that what he did wrong was he left the room when she told him to.
Clay.
I'm not going. Not now. Not ever. I love you, Hannah.
Why didn't you say this to me when I was alive?
And I thought, what are your thoughts on consent, person who wrote this? You seem to be teaching consent and not to abuse people, but then you're kind of pushing this other message, which is like, don't listen to the word no or you'll be to blame for someone's death, which is really bad. So that made me question the author's motives a bit. And then I found out some things about the author that were very troubling. Jay Asher, author of the best-selling young adult novel 13 Reasons Why, has claimed he left a prominent writers' organisation voluntarily after the group announced it had expelled him due to allegations of sexual harassment. Lynn Oliver, executive director of the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators, told the Associated Press on Monday that Asher and prize-winning illustrator David Diaz had both violated the Society's harassment code and subsequently had been expelled from the group in 2017. Claims against them were investigated, and as a result they are no longer members. So you're telling me he wrote a full book about how sexual harassment is horrible, it leads to depression, it leads to suicide, it can ruin someone's life, it's disgusting. If you sexually harass someone, that could happen to them. And he has been sexually harassing people. So that tells me one of two things about this author of the book. Either he doesn't believe what he's saying, he doesn't believe that sexual harassment and sexual assault is a big deal, he just made the book for clout or for fame or whatever, and he doesn't actually believe what he's saying. He doesn't actually believe the actions of sexual harassment could lead to someone's death. Or he completely believes it, but he doesn't care. He knows that your actions can lead to someone being depressed and suicidal, etc., but he doesn't care if that happens to someone. I think that's even worse, if you thought that you were partaking in he didn't rape anyone, but sexual harassment is still not okay. The point of the book is that sexual harassment and assault can lead to worse things happening to someone down the line. Whether you agree with that or think it's controversial or whatever is your own opinion, but that's the message of the book. And either he believes that or he doesn't, but if he's engaging in that behaviour himself that he's condemning, that's kind of messed up. So you could say that that's the author of the book and the writers of the TV show are separate people. Yes, they're taking his message, but some people's point might be that they're putting a new spin on it, or, you know, they're putting the same message forward, but they don't have any hypocrisy, or, you know, they're not him. They're other people who might be nice and they're trying to promote this good message. But we know that Selena Gomez worked on 13 Reasons Why, and some controversy arose about her. So no one is safe. Working with Woody Allen, she was asked if Woody Allen's past would make her rethink taking on that role in that film. And she says, "To be honest, I'm not sure how to answer. Not because I'm trying to back away from it. And that's something, yes, I had to face and discuss. I stepped back and thought, wow, the universe works in interesting ways." So his own children have accused him of molestation, and Selena's response is that that's very interesting, but she's not gonna not work with him. This is what her mum said on Instagram. "Sorry, no one can make Selena do anything she doesn't want to do. I had a long talk with her about not working with him, and it didn't click. No one controls her, she makes all her own decisions. No matter how hard you try to advise, it falls on deaf ears." So we've not only got that the author doesn't care about sexual harassment, you've got the executive producer who really doesn't care, and now I'm feeling like whatever you think about the message they're bringing forward, whatever message they are trying to bring forward, it feels very false to me. It feels like, okay, the guy who writes the book doesn't care about sexual assault, the woman who's the executive producer of the show doesn't care about sexual assault. What is the point of this show? And I'm sure that the actors are doing things for the right reasons and aren't trying to put a bad message across or promote suicide or anything like that. I'm sure the people who made the show could have researched things better, how to get this message across basically, but I don't think that's the actors' job to do, so I'm sure the actors are doing things for the right reasons, but the people who produce the show, the guy who writes the book, those are the people who need to think about the message they're putting forward. If they don't care about the message they're putting forward, then why should we listen to it? I was just gone for so long. I was trying to find a thread on Twitter that I'd retweeted and I couldn't find it. But I found some other things. And I haven't spoken about season 2 yet, but we're going to get there. I've just got various tweets about the situation. This person says, psychologists, suicide prevention hotlines, and people who actually suffer from those mental illnesses all know how toxic and bad the show is. But Netflix continues to milk 13 Reasons Why for another season because fake woke people keep supporting a show that represents suicide as revenge. That is true. Well, mental health experts have said, and people who suffer with mental illnesses have said, it doesn't portray things in the best way, it's triggering, it causes people to be more likely to die by suicide. It's not good. I have some facts here. New season of 13 Reasons Why, still targeted by doctors who say it glamorizes teen suicide. Medical experts say Netflix and creators of the second season, aren't doing enough to curb the increase in teen suicides. Some critics of the series, which showed a suicide and sexual assault in graphic detail, blame the first season for glamorizing suicide. The proportion of visits involving suicidal thoughts, known as suicidal ideation, jumped by more than 40% last April and May. So, compared to before 13 Reasons Why started and April and May of last year, suicidal ideation went up 40%. Statistics show that suicides have spiked and suicidal ideation has spiked after the show, in which a lot of people said to the writers that you shouldn't portray mental health in this way because it's causing bad things. And this is what the CEO of Netflix had to say about it. This is by Variety. Netflix CEO responds to 13 Reasons Why controversy. Don't like it? Don't watch it. So the fact that since the first season came out, overall it caused more harm than good, His response to that is, just don't watch it. And then if someone you know dies, is at risk of dying, just don't watch the show and everything will be fine. That's obviously not good enough, so that's obviously bad, but that all associates with season 1 and how people responded to the backlash of season 1 and how it's not stopping them from making a season 2. And this is discussing season 2. Bear in mind, this is after I decided I was not going to pay any attention to season 2. I was done with season 1, I liked some things about it, disliked some things about it, and I decided I wasn't going to be involved with season 2. But Twitter is Twitter, and it's a minefield of information, and information was coming up that will be triggering for you guys to hear, so I'm sorry about this. But in, I think, the final episode of season 2, a boy character gets raped with an object, and in revenge of what happens to him, he starts a school shooting and goes to a school dance or a prom and kills everyone, because that's the sort of thing that they should be romanticising at this point in time when school shootings and mass shootings are so... we're seeing it in the news all the time. They have a scene where it's like okay that someone did a school shooting because they were raped, which is... whoever wrote that is a bit messed up. I'm actually so sick over that one scene in 13 Reasons Why season 2. Was it really necessary to show something that awful? The whole show is controversial, but that's something I wish I could unsee. Well, people know the show's triggering, but that doesn't mean they want to see that kind of thing happening. They've already depicted... sorry, my camera cut out. So it's already shown rape in a very graphic way, which is obviously not good, but in the second season it showed it in a way that depicts a school shooting as, like, some type of revenge for what happened. Which is kind of even worse than showing suicide as a response to rape. You know, season 1 glorified suicide, now the end of season 2 has you low-key hoping for a school shooting. This show is low-key toxic AF. So, again, if you're watching it and the way that's being depicted as a good form of revenge or something you should hope for is a school shooting, at any time that's wrong, especially at a time where school shootings are happening so regularly. If you've had a spike in suicides since season 1, goodness knows what season 2 is going to cause. I'm not saying it would cause shootings, but I'm just saying why would you depict them in a positive light? We've already had a kind of victim blaming mentality. After the Parkland shooting, a lot of schools in America were like, be friends with the mean bully so then he won't shoot you, and it was just not okay. But it's certainly a sort of victim blaming thing, like, well, you went to the same school as the person who did something bad, so you should die. Obviously that scene shouldn't have been included. We have a big problem of straight white men turning to violence / mass shootings, and the whole if you're just nicer, school shootings can be avoided idea is BS and victim blaming. What did I just say? So as I said, I went onto Twitter not thinking about season 2, not wanting to watch it, and then so much of what I heard about it is not acceptable in any way and is promoting some bad shit. And obviously there were people promoting it and saying good things about it, which I'll get onto in a minute, but I don't really think those thoughts are justified. I don't have to watch the scene to know how bad it is and how it could possibly have a bad effect. I've heard a lot about it already, and I just thought this is not something I want to engage in, something I want to watch, something I want to give money to. I already decided that I didn't want to be part of that, and then I heard about season 2 and I was like, yep, I've definitely made up my mind. I love you. Okay, you want to get down? And then, as I said, I found out season 3 was coming out and I was like, nope! So that's when I decided to make this video after I'd heard all that information and had enough information to understand what I wanted to say about the situation, and that's how I think I'll summarise those negative thoughts about the situation and, you know, negative opinions about the show. As I said, there are some positive opinions about it. There are some really die-hard fans of the show that are really supporting it and really don't want to hear anything bad about it, and I want to talk about that as well because that's another concern I have about the situation. I've got my laptop because my phone wasn't cooperating. For some reason I responded to a big post on 13 Reasons Why. Why? I don't know, because I knew that people would respond and be problematic and have a go at me, blah blah blah, but I did. Here's the OP. Honey, if the whole show is supposedly to promote the importance of mental health, but then people with mental illnesses can't bear to watch it due to getting triggered, then what the fuck is the show even doing? I've said that already, but I just wanted context. So I added that it's meant to be a good message for young people, but they make it so graphic that it's inappropriate for young people to watch. So who's seeing the message? I'm giving context. To which a lot of people got very angry and told me that it was an 18. Someone else told me it was a 15, so I don't know who's telling the truth. But it's, you know, marketed towards younger people, so if it's an 18, maybe it shouldn't be marketed towards teenagers. Being a survivor of a school shooting is inappropriate for young people too. This is a work of fiction that might help kids deal with reality. So a lot of people are not understanding triggers. A lot of people in this conversation are saying that the world is bad and you should watch shows that show you that the world is bad, and it's just showing you real life, and if you can't deal with it, whatever, that's your problem, which is not how triggers work. Just because something's real life, it doesn't mean someone should watch it, or that it should be shown to them in a very graphic way. So I said, why does it have to be inappropriate for kids? If it's made for kids, which you're now admitting, then it should have content that's suitable for kids. In other words, dealing with the subject matter without triggering or psychologically traumatizing them. And she says, maybe when adults figure out that life in general is inappropriate for children, what this person is saying is life is inappropriate for children, deal with it. Life triggers people and encourages suicide, deal with it. Which is completely against the message of the show, which is kind of why I don't like that fandom, because since the first season came out, you guys have probably seen that there's been a lot of problems with that fandom, bullying people on the internet, telling them to kill themselves, blah blah blah, and you know that a lot of the fandom don't practice what the show preaches, which isn't the show's fault necessarily, but it might mean that they're not putting the message across in the right way. It has a rating 15+. Stop complaining about who it is and isn't for. Yes, it's slightly inappropriate. Things presented in the show literally happen in real life to real people every day. So this person thinks that it's a 15 and like 16-year-olds should be watching it, and a 16-year-old, well 15+, so 15 and 16-year-olds might think that they can watch it, and maybe they're not as mentally strong as they thought they were, and they could end up traumatized. And this person's like, well, it's real life, deal with it. These are a lot of the comments that are coming up. It might make them uncomfortable. Again, being triggered isn't being slightly uncomfortable. So these people might not be deliberately misunderstanding that. They might just not understand the difference between someone being psychologically triggered and someone being a bit uncomfortable. But if they don't understand that after watching so much of the show, what is the show teaching? I've just found the receipts of my main point and they're on my phone. So that's a relief. I've said, why can't people make high school dramas that aren't inappropriate for high school kids, aren't unnecessarily triggering, and don't sensationalise suicide for views? Someone I blocked said high school isn't a fairy tale. So I replied, high school isn't a fairy tale, so we should make high school's kids' mental health worse than it already is. Which is what he's basically saying, high school isn't a fairy tale, so let's trigger the high school kids and make them mentally ill. To which his friend says, what world do you live in that high school is so fucking picture perfect for you? In other words, a lot of the time when you bring forth the idea of mental health, of triggers and stuff, to the diehard fans of 13 Reasons Why, their response is, the world is horrible, honey, deal with it, suck it up, we don't care about your triggers, we don't care about your mental health, you have to watch this show for whatever reason. So that was my issue. My issue with the negative opinions of the show was that they were bringing some pretty serious issues to the surface of why the show's bad, and the positive reviews of the show were seemingly based on a lot of misinformation and victim blaming of the mentally ill and a lot of sort of triggered jokes. So does the show promote mental health in a positive way? I'm gonna go with a big no for that one. So thanks for watching, guys. Please let me know how you felt about the topics I discussed, as always, in the comments, and I will be responding to you as well. Again, I'm sorry it's been so long since I posted some actual content. I've been mentally and physically a mess recently, as you probably know if you follow me on Twitter. So I'm sorry that I've left you waiting for so long. I'm sorry that my last video was so shit, but I was too ill to post any actual content. But here I am. I hope you like this content. If you want to see more things like this and more discussions, obviously subscribe, give the video a like, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.